I'll be honest, that black market scene was rather disturbing. It was already pretty graphic just seeing someone kind of chained up with different markings all over their body to say, what do you want to buy? What would you like to improve your life? But when they got to the point of what this man wanted and how he's like, I want to be able to, at least for one night, to be able to lie with my wife. And he's like, no, anything but that. At first, I thought they were building up to legs. I was like, we don't know what this world can or cannot do with transplants. Maybe what they are going to build up is because he's in a wheelchair, he wants his legs. Well, that's probably going to cause them to freak out. But honestly, they went for the one thing that I'd be like, at that point, just kill me. I felt bad for this guy, and it really does put into perspective how far Louis has come, that he doesn't shy away from that. And even though like someone like Ibiki was trying to like shield him almost like a dad, and you get the clarification that he's really no different than Louis himself with the markings and saying how he made a life for himself. And kind of like the entire episode is like, is there really a difference between herbivores and carnivores and the divide that comes with that? And to see a scene so disturbing just have characters that used to really push away from stuff like that just stare in the face of it almost emotionless, it's pretty frightening, but incredible development, I have to say. This episode was actually really intriguing because when we first got like the first 7 or 8 minutes or so were on a couple of side characters just kind of going shopping, and the idea of pretty much the school is kind of has this divide of like, should the herbivores and carnivores be separated or should they basically continue to mingle? And then there's obviously the differences, some people saying, well, I'm scared that they'll kill me, or others saying, why would we want to associate with them, or maybe they're stealing our boyfriends, right? There's all these different opinions, and for a good 8 minutes it's really just slice of life bonding time between two characters who at any moment I'm expecting, okay, is there going to be another bloodshed moment? Is this just going to be slice of life? And it pretty much ends with peaceful taking a picture for like Beast Book or whatever they call their Facebook equivalent, and a character who's all about sharing those memories, and it just looks peaceful. And I was thinking to myself, is this going to serve a big importance to the episode, or is it simply just going to be to flesh out the fact that there is a divide and some people are for or against it, and one of the characters in the scene is very much like questioning if this is even okay. And I really came to appreciate the intro to this episode a lot more by the time we reached the end, especially considering everything that's happening at the black market, than just seeing just simple school shenanigans with honestly some pretty interesting fashion. When you think of anthropomorphic designs, you don't really consider the fashion. You just say, oh, it's going to be this animal in a more humanoid form, but there's a lot of cool fashion statements and just the simple idea of just kind of like casual lore building. When a character has like stripes or prints all over them, how would they have any fashion? You have to wear plain clothing versus someone who has plain fur, then you can kind of do whatever. It's the little things that help make Beastars' world feel a lot more fleshed out, and with last week with the whole pills and trying to like suppress your muscle growth, to the way fashion is perceived from many characters in this world, it's the nice little details that really helps Beastars feel a lot more interesting than just a murder mystery, so to speak. Though I have to say, without a doubt, the best part of this entire episode was hiding away your fangs and showing your true strength without giving in to those natural instincts with Legoshi and his mentor. At first I was really confused why he put a muzzle on him, because I was like, wait, if you're saying he has no jaw strength and that's good, it means the training's working, he's losing his strength in his jaw, why do you need to is it so he doesn't bite? Are you scared something's gonna happen? But then as the fight kind of got going, you realize that this was kind of like the turning point of not only do you need to take this scumbag off the streets and kind of clean him up because he's disgusting, he's gonna kill, he's gonna do a lot of bad things. You're seeing, even though what we've been seeing with Legoshi, you're thinking he's a lot weaker than he used to be. He can't even bite into an apple. How is a carnivore going to stop people like obviously last week with Riz? How are you going to stop someone like that who's way more powerful? But we're seeing he actually still has a lot of strength in his arms and legs and things like that. The main difference is that he's losing his strength in his jaw because he's not using that to kill anymore, even though he never did. But the idea that he's not eating meat anymore, or not wanting that, and kind of has grown accustomed to being able to be in the face of it and not have anything there. He's lost the strength there because he's not needing it to survive. But he has all these other muscles that he's now able to put the focus on, and you're seeing in a very anime fashion. Obviously he's not kind of going Super Saiyan, he's not growing these powers, but it's highlighting just how much power he does have in his muscles now that he has the focus and the training to really kind of protect those that he wants to. And I'm sure there's still going to be more to his training to some degree, but it's going to be very interesting to see, Because honestly, after last week, I was like, there's no way he's going to survive. But seeing what he did in this episode, sure, is basically a crackhead, all things considered. You're seeing that even with like Fangs literally going through his arm, he really didn't flinch or back down in the slightest. And I thought that was a really powerful moment of season 2 and one of the standouts for sure. I mean, coming off of last week's episode, was there going to be any way for episode 8 to top the impact? Absolutely not. You literally revealed the biggest question most people had from season 1. But did this episode have its own exciting aspects? Absolutely. By starting with slice of life content and really showing the divide that's still there, and characters like Juno who really want to just, you know, keep them separated. And you know she's not like racist or anything like that, but then when you get the Haru content, you really see the main reason is because she feels inferior to a herbivore, and she's very jealous in the case of, obviously, Haru and Legoshi's relationship, to the point that she's trying to drive whatever wedge is there, where someone like Haru is legit just happy to be around a female who's not mocking or bullying her, and just wants to be friends. If there's any relationship I really would like to see more of down the line, I think it'd be Juno and Haru, because even though there definitely is a lot of hostility and they need to overcome the barrier that is there, that being Legoshi, I do think they would have a very interesting friendship and chemistry, just even given the fact that she was trying so hard to hate her, and there's multiple points where she just couldn't, like when she saved her from the box falling, or Haru gave her half of her meal when really she gave her like 3/4 based on the different proportion size. There's just a lot to appreciate with this episode, and with how it starts out, you think it's so pointless, it's so fillery, as many people would call it, but it was actually so great to really show just what's going on in the heads of students, understanding like, should there be a divide or should we stay together? And then ending the episode in such a dramatic way. This was a really engaging episode. Sometimes I have found that Beastars, when it tries to focus on too many perspectives, especially if it's outside of the central three, that being Haru, Legoshi, as well as Louis, it can feel a little more fumbled, as if maybe, yeah, this is important, but it's not as interesting as the central three like in season 1. But I will say, for having a lot of characters who I really don't care about, like, on a personal level, they made me really appreciate their scenes and what it added to the whole concept that this season is building up, which is ultimately that divide between these two races here. And I'm really interested to see where the divide's going to go, because it does feel like it has to have a positive ending, but at the same time, with this only being season 2, and there is more content, if it ends in a negative way, that could lead to a lot of really interesting possibilities with future arcs, and even more so with someone like Haru and Legoshi's relationship, which is growing really good, and if that is forcing them apart, that could be very, very bad. So there's a lot to work with, and I'm really excited, I have to say. Like, it's interesting that even after the biggest answer has been revealed, who is the killer, they still have me asking just as interesting of questions, at least for someone like myself. I really didn't know what they were going to do after last week, because, I mean, there's literally no way for you to top the reveal, because how many episodes we're wondering who is the killer. So what are you going to do? You kind of just take the best of everything and show the wedge that is currently in this school and the different ways that they're trying to overcome it, like having a female be the lead of a role that's always been male dominated. There's a lot of very interesting things happening, and I think Beastars has a good home stretch to work with. The last 4 episodes I think have a lot of potential. Finish up the murder plotline, but also what's going to happen to the school and who will ultimately be the Beastar. Honestly, I'm hoping it'll be Legoshi, but honestly, who knows who it will be, all things considered. I'd love to know everyone's thoughts on this week's episode of Beastars and where you think it might go with episode 9 next week. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, share your support, and hit that subscribe button if you're happy new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.